A baby clings to the mother as she passes away during labor. What happens next is unthinkable. In Samantha Klopp's pregnancy, when she went into labor, she was rushed to the operating room so that doctors could try to save both her and the baby. When there seemed to be no hope left, her husband did something that left everyone amazed. Craig and Samantha were excited when they found out they were expecting their second child. They had been trying to get pregnant and have a child for at least a year. Their son, John, had specifically requested a younger brother. Craig and Samantha never expected their son to be as athletic as his father. Everything appeared to be perfect, but the family's fate would take a dramatic turn. As the baby's due date approached, Craig and Samantha purchased more items to ensure her comfort. The delivery date was set for 10 days later. Samantha was calm because she had gone through this process. However, Samantha worked to the sensation of a slight contraction. They downplayed the situation initially, visiting the hospital for mild contractions. However, the contractions intensified during the doctor's appointment, leading to the water breaking. Samantha felt dizzy and nauseous due to the disrupted breakfast. Unlike her previous birth, this turned bad. She fainted before the doctor, alarming Craig. Her heart rate dropped, her blood pressure plummeted, her skin turned blue, and her breathing struggled. Medical staff rushed to decipher the crisis. Meanwhile, the baby's health also worsened. The result is that the heart and lungs stopped functioning. The woman was moved to a different area of the maternity facility that was nearer the surgical facility. Samantha would never be the same, even if she lived. Craig experienced a sense of the weight of the world dropping off of him when he heard it. Samantha's condition worsened in the operating room, and no precautions taken by the medical team could prevent the worst. Samantha was pronounced dead in the morning. Craig paced anxiously outside, overwhelmed. Their dreams of parenthood were shattered as they faced an uncertain future. He couldn't let his wife go without a fight. Craig then took on the challenge. He then stood up and called his family and friends, requesting that they come to the maternity ward as soon as possible. They held hands once everyone was in the waiting room. They reaffirmed their wishes and prayers for Samantha and the baby. Samantha was still in the operating room, and doctors were attempting one last desperate resuscitation. Fortunately, the girl was saved by the child's care team. She was born crying, but more importantly, she was separated from her mother and would live. Craig was crying and laughing at the same time as he held his daughter. He'd heard about these weird experiences that mess with one's mind and senses. But it wasn't until now that he realized what they meant and how difficult they were to explain. Craig quickly decided to name the girl Grace, feeling content, yet the fear of losing her dimmed his joy. Samantha, according to the doctor, had responded to the most recent resuscitation attempt. Even if her pulse remained low, she was at least breathing again. Samantha was transferred to the ICU, where doctors did everything they could to keep her breathing. However, she began to experience a drop in vital signs once more. Samantha's brother, a surgeon, arrived at the hospital and requested access to her medical records. The condition was still critical. She was receiving progressively less blood pumped through her body as her heart failed. She finally had to use machines to breathe since her lungs had stopped functioning. Samantha had passed out and was not breathing. She could have passed away at any moment, but one of the medical professionals saw something that had gone unnoticed before. She noticed that one of the organs had been cut by mistake and was still bleeding without any attention being paid to it while reassessing one of the exams and looking at the patient's situation. Then, just as she was about to be declared perished for the second time, she was wheeled into another hospital's operating room. It had an extracorporeal membrane oxygenation machine. This would restore the ability of the heart and lungs to function. They also reduced Samantha's level of sedation until she awoke so they could assess how well her nervous system was functioning. Despite her disbelief and confusion, Samantha smiled back. Her brain wasn't gone, and her nervous system was operating more effectively than usual. At that instant, Craig realized there was a way to save Samantha for good. She was then told by the physicians that they would try a new surgery on her and that she would soon become unconscious due to the anesthesia. Craig brought Grace running and placed the newborn for the first time in Samantha's lap, allowing the mother to touch her daughter for the first time. Even though Samantha was already weak, the look in her eyes and the change in her facial expression were startling. It seemed as though the sight and touch of her daughter helped Samantha find her inner power. Samantha was prepared to defend her life at all costs. The ventilator was taken out of Samantha. After several hours, Craig, John, and tiny Grace were able to speak with her. Samantha's eyes welled up with tears as Grace opened her eyes and met her mother's for the first time.